You are making the world a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. You have found good in abundance because you've tuned in consciously and conscientiously to the Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, the ambassador of joy. And you tuned in for one reason and one reason only. And it's the best reason in the entire world because you care the most, the entire world, about you. Y-O-U. And that's great because when you become the best you make the world a better place. You build more bridges of harmony. You create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And we're going to discuss that in detail today with an amazingly interesting fellow because he's going to help set you on your path to great success. Eric does that because he's the goal guide. We'll be with him in just a few moments. Right now, I want to thank everybody for being here and urge you to do what we tell every show. Share this with 5 people. Right now, there are over 400,000 people that are tuning in around the world. You share with 5 people, we'll be touching 2 million people. And of course, rate it with 5 stars. You want to share with 50 or 100 people, that's up to you. At least 5. And that way we get the word out there that there is joy in the world. Remember, joy stands for Journey of You. So you know you've tuned in on this show because we discussed the 3 fundamentals of life. And these 3 fundamentals are, number 1, life, your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, number 2 happens. In this case, good number 2, you go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. Lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the 3rd fundamental is to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simple example, right now, the show is carried around the internet. If you ask anybody, what does www stand for? Invariably, they'll tell you to do with the internet. Now, factually speaking, they're correct. However, in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? W-H-A-T-A. And of course, a big tip of the hat and thank you to Louis Armstrong, Satchmo, for enabling that song to go around viral and not just touch tens of millions or hundreds of millions, but billions of people on the planet. Whenever you hear the opening bars of what a wonderful world, what do you do right away? You can't help it. You smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you could have internalized, utilized, and leverage in your life because smile stands for seeing miracles in life every day. That's right, seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I'm privileged to speak with people on the internet, all over around the world, millions of people every week. And in person, I do a lot of public speaking. Recently, we were a group of 1,172 people. And I'm talking about the story of Barry Shore and seeing miracles in life every day. And some people raise their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been up for hours and I haven't seen any miracles. And I asked them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't do that. Can you walk? I can barely do that. You have water to drink, food to eat, place to sleep, family, friends. Every single one of those is a miracle. And what's the proof? Simplest proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching or you're listening, you didn't. Therefore, you have an obligation to live life to the full. And when you do this, you will be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? Let me tell you a quick story. It's about me. Imagine, if you can, I'm standing up in the morning, completely healthy and hearty, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. And that evening, I'm in the hospital, totally, completely paralyzed from the neck down, called quadriplegic. I could only communicate by blinking my eyes. It was not from an automobile accident. It wasn't a spinal injury. It was a rare disease took over my body and rendered me completely paralyzed. 144 days in the hospital. I was 2 years in a hospital bed in my own home. I couldn't move. 4 years in a wheelchair, braces on both legs from hips to ankles. That was progress. Thank God today I'm vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. So I'm a triped, not a biped. Can't walk up a stair by myself. Can't walk up a curb by myself. I have help 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant. All because of one word. And the word, of course, is smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I got to tell you a quick story. My 8-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks ago. She said, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile, S-M-I-E-L? I thought about smile. Sounds the same. Why not? I asked her, how come? She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of an 8-year-old. But what was she doing? She was creating the kind of world she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a very important acronym that stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. That's what we're going to learn with Eric. Rethinking, and we call it a shift in perspective. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I've been working with people for 4.5 decades, and 97.2% of all the people I begin working with, they drop the F in shift, and the other stuff happens. You got to be effing careful with your Fs. Keep that F in place. You can shift your perspective, and then you can internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever learn. And these are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation will determine the path of your life and your trajectory. Now, before we bring on wonderful Eric, I have to warn him and everybody listening that's new. I know you're always bringing new people. We'll be up to 500,000 in the next couple of weeks. Thank you for always urging your family and friends to come and listen. I have to warn you, I do use a lot of 4-letter words. I even use the 4-letter FU word, and I do it because of the shock value and it's fun. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, are love, life, hope, play, free, gift, swim. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, that's right. F-U, capital N, capital N. Now, right away, some people say, hey, Barry Shore, fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world. World of the positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant, fun is spelled F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, you see your family and friends, twinkle in your eyes, smile in your face, point your fingers, say, F-U, everybody. Remember that, capital N, capital N. So where'd you get that? I listened to Barry Shore. He wants to teach the world to F-U. You got their attention. Now you can share with them what you're going to hear from Eric. And before we bring on amazing Eric, and he is, I'm going to urge everybody to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day from now and the rest of your life, because it will make you happier, healthier, and wealthier. What are these 2 words? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks stands for to harmonize and nurture kindness. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Therefore, be kind always. Kind stands for keep inspiring noble deeds. I can't think of anyone that inspires noble deeds more than amazing, wonderful Eric Konovalov. Eric, please say hello to 423,717 people around the world.
Hello, everybody. And Barry, thank you for that incredible introduction.
Well deserved. Eric, I've been urging him to be on the show for a long time. And the reason is because he brings value to you. See, it's great. You're going to hear from him. He's a great guy. Wonderful. Barry Shore, fabulous fellow. It's not about us. It's about you. You becoming the best you. So I'm going to tell you 3 things about Eric, because if I told you all the stuff, we'll take the rest of the show. 3 things. He is known as the Goal Guide, G-O-A-L. Now, you want to say gold also? It's in there, because when you set your goals right, then the gold is always found. The other thing is he comes from the former Soviet Union, USSR, for people who were challenged with that kind of stuff. And he's been in the United States for a while. But here's the interesting thing. At the age of 37, he had a very major heart problem. I don't mean because he had a broken heart from somebody not loving him. He had a heart issue and he suffered. So he understands that suffering is one of the most important aspects of gaining greater clarity in life. So let's just jump right in, Eric, and start right away. What the heck are goals? Why is it so important? And who cares?
Man, We should all care about our goals, right? Did you know that there's a statistic, and I don't know who came up with it. I read it somewhere, so don't quote me on it. But most astronauts fall into depression after they come back from space. And the reason they do that is because as they're training for space, that's their North Star, that's their goal. After that's done, they don't know what to do next. What are they going to do next? I was talking to a friend of mine just last night. He finished running his very first Ironman. For the full year before that, he was training to run an Ironman. That is, I think, a 2.5-mile swim, a 26.2-mile run, and I can't remember 100-something mile bike ride.
100 miles, called a century.
100 miles. That you do that all in a row: swim, run, bike. And I haven't seen him working out in the last month. I said, so where have you been? He's like, I'm trying to figure out what to do, right? Because he doesn't have that next step. And I think Viktor Frankl said it best in his book, A Man's Search for Meaning. You know, a person who has a will to live will always find a how to do it. And so goals are a purpose for now. It doesn't need to be your life purpose, but we should always have something that we're aiming for, either for the day, for the week, for the month, for the year. And it gets you out of your bed at night, in the morning. Sorry. Well, it gets me out of my bed at night sometimes too.
Well, that's actually a very good Freudian sleep. Let's talk about Viktor Frankl just for a moment. So it's one of the 10 most influential books that has ever been printed. Number one is the Bible. And one of the great 10 is Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. And there's another book that he also authored, which most people don't know. It's called Yes, Learning to Say Yes to Life. And the important thing about Viktor Frankl, again, has to do with suffering. He was an acclaimed doctor, psychiatrist prior to the outbreak of the Nazi invasion of Austria. He was forced toward 1944 into concentration camps. He had the opportunity, by the way, Eric, unlike most people don't know this, he had the opportunity to leave, to go to the United States. There were people wanting to get him out. He wouldn't leave his parents. His parents would have to stay. He decided he would go in with his wife, unfortunately, also into the concentration camps because he wouldn't leave his parents. He was able to do something that most human beings never could, and I hope most people never have to face. He had to live what he had been teaching. He was always teaching about setting goals, about living with purpose, and now he had to live it. Can you walk your talk? And one of the reasons I'm so happy that Eric is here is because he does do that. He walks his talk. So what do you talk about? What does it mean to even, how does one go about setting a goal? And what's the difference between thinking about a goal, writing a goal, and then working on a goal?
Such a great question, Barry. Thank you. So let me go back to just 2014 to share with you where I was before I started the Goal Guide and how this all happened. I spent 8 years in the military. At this point in my life, I was well into managing a sales team for a technology company, had a great job. I was already married, 2 kids. My younger son was a baby at the time. He was probably 1 year old. And even though outside looking in, everything was going great, inside out, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't like what I was doing for work. I didn't like where I was living. I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I had no idea where I wanted to live. And it just would eat at me to the point where I found myself very frustrated and angry and just short with my wife, not the man that, anybody would want to marry. I found myself drinking a lot. Like, it was not a good place to be. And somebody recommended a life coach just as an introduction. This was so funny because the recommendation came over Facebook, and it literally said, "You two are the most positive people I know, and you should meet. You should connect." Here I am dying inside, but on the outside, I'm putting on this facade like I'm happy-go-lucky. If you saw me, I'm the most positive guy in the world. Big smile, everything. Inside, not knowing what to do, what my life's all about. No vision, no purpose. And so I meet with Julie, and I've never heard of a life coach before. And I said, okay, so tell me about what you do and how does that work? And this was just a network. And she started describing to me what life coaching is. And right away I said, I think I need that. Would you work with me? She said, yes. So I hired her. And the very first thing we did was started to set goals. And one of the questions she asked me was, well, what is it that's like, what's the one thing that's on your mind constantly that you feel like you should do? And I'm like, well, write a book, but I'll never write a book. She's like, great. We're going to set that as your goal. Why do you think it's been on your mind? Right. So to answer your question, like about goals, what do we use to set goals? I think our imagination and our intuition, right? I believe that our thoughts and ideas are energy, and energy always flows from a higher source to a lower source. Like if somebody dissected my brain right now, nowhere in the brain would they be able to see an idea or see a thought. So where do ideas and thoughts come from? And if you believe they come from a higher being, if you believe they come from God, then why did they come to me and not you, for example? Like, why do you get the ideas you get? Well, I have to believe that it's because I'm the one that's able to carry that idea out. I'm the Moses that's going to get
So
that
let's
idea.
unpack this a little bit.
Yeah.
I believe what you're saying is that if you never received the idea, it could not be manifested in the world. You're the one, the idea sort of chose you. And there's a very famous line from Think and Grow Rich and Napoleon Hill. If you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. In other words, if you can conceive of it, it exists. And if you work towards it and believe that it's true, then you can achieve it. It cannot not be done. That's what you're saying. In other words, when you recognize for the first time, because I'm going to say an interesting word to you, you were disgusted with your life.
I was.
By the way, that's a great quote from Jim Rohn. Everything, by the way, I urge everybody, don't take notes, don't write anything down. Just let the experience with Eric flow around you. The reason we record this so you can listen to it the second time. The second time, you can write notes, you can stop and pause it. Right now, just enjoy the fact that he's here. So Jim Rohn is very famous. He was Tony Robbins' life coach.
Yeah. Oh, he changed my life.
Jim Rohn is an amazing being because he was so real. He's so authentic. And he said, only when you get to the point where you're disgusted, he said, disgusting is wonderful. Only when you get to the point where you're disgusted can something change. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Or they say about alcoholics or people addicted. Only when you hit rock bottom, do you have a chance of bouncing back. So you were smart enough, and a big, huge applause to you, that when you were touched by a life coach, that you were willing to open up and say, I don't want this horrible stuff. It's not good for me. It's not good for my wife. You loved your wife so much. That's why you did it.
Still do.
So let's continue here. Here you are beginning the process of getting an idea. One of them is writing a book, which of course you've done. So let's talk about, okay, that's a nice idea. It's way out there. It's beyond you, but yet it's part of you. So what else was given to you as a pathway?
For the book or for
like the life coach? For the life coach.
Oh, for the life coach. So we started journaling. That was the first thing she did. Now, this is before Jim Rohn, and I know Jim Rohn's huge on the journals, but this is kind of my first gateway into personal growth or personal development. And we started journaling. A few months actually before I met her, I realized I wasn't a very good leader at work. I went from Xerox to managing a sales team at Xerox to being a director of sales for a smaller tech company. And at Xerox, it's like my way or the highway, right? Here's the rules and play by them. But in this company, it wasn't like that. I would have an idea that I shared with my team, and they would be in the president's office, who they all know, love, and go to church with and have worked for him for 16 or 17 years, saying, why do we need Eric here? Can you just get rid of him? We're fine without him, right? So I had no idea what to do, Barry. I was just a terrible leader. So I've been a early morning workout guy for a while, and every time I'm on a treadmill, I'm Googling and searching leadership ideas and watching videos on leadership and how to be a better leader. And this guy, John Maxwell, kept popping up.
Whoa, wait a minute. What a great place to put a pause. This
Let's
is
do
so
it.
wonderful. John Maxwell, again, he's dropping names because these are important people in his life and in your life. And we have, thank God, we have great sponsors. We wouldn't have them on if we didn't think they're worthy of your time and you're listening to them and use their products and services. We're going to be right back with more wonderful Eric, John Maxwell, and the Gold Guide. Don't go away. Hi, everybody. I have something special for you. Everybody knows that fasting is healthy. People also know that it can be challenging. However, not with something I recommend and I use, which is called Prolon, Prolon. It's really fasting with food. You hear that? That's right, fasting with food. Now, Prolon is a science-backed nutrition product that helps support blood sugar levels and cardiovascular health. I use it. I recommend it. It's great. It has snacks, soups, beverages, all designed to activate your body's fasting state. I never experienced anything like this. And I urge you to do what I do. I have used Prolon. And if I was going to start a nutrition program, Prolon is exactly what I would continue to use. It's convenient. It's backed by Nobel-winning science. And most of all, it works. Right now, Prolon is offering my Joy of Living listeners 15% off their 5-day nutrition program. That's right, 15% off. I urge everybody, go to prolonlife.com. That's PROLONLIFE, prolonlife.com/Barry, BARRY, 15% off. Go to prolonlife.com, prolonlife.com/Barry. You will thank me. Best wishes. Bye now. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking, so I was looking for and finding the good. Our cup runneth over with good. His name is Eric, and his last name is Konovalov. Really, he's the Gold Guide. And we were just on the edge of he running or being the head of a leadership of a sales training company. He was supposed to do the leadership and the training, and he stinks at it. And he's wondering, what am I going to do? They're about to fire him. And he hears 2 words, John Maxwell. Okay, so for the benefit of people all around the world, because there are people listening from everywhere who may not know John Maxwell, who the heck is he and why does he matter to you and to anybody else?
Yeah, so John Maxwell is the world's #1 guru on leadership. He's written over 100 books. If you Google leadership, you'll see John pop up all over the world. I've actually had the pleasure to go with him to Paraguay and teach and develop their government there on some of his leadership principles and in certain companies. So going back to 2014, as I'm researching John Maxwell, I guess they had a tag on me and somebody told John Maxwell's team that Eric Konovalov is looking at your stuff. And they began to send me ads on Facebook and Google saying, hey, did you know John Maxwell has a team? Hey, do you want to improve your leadership? And I'm like, yes, I didn't know John Maxwell had a team. And yes, I want to improve my leadership. So I clicked the button. I filled out the form. They called me up and said, hey, we have this team. We're going to teach you everything that you need to know about leadership. And you get to come out, meet John. And so I signed up, paid a few $1,000s because I really wanted to get this leadership thing going.
Again, I want to put you on pause for the moment because part of what's happening here is, and I hope people understand this. When you're searching, you can't just be saying, yeah, that sounds like a nice idea. You need to have it in your tummy that this is, you need to make, you have to go mad. You need to make a difference because what's happening in your world now is not the best. And you want to be the best, right? You are motivated to be better. Am I correct?
100%.
And you're willing to invest, like you said, a few $1,000s. Let's be blunt. For some people listening around the world, well, that's a huge amount of money. Okay, it is. Who are you investing in? You're investing in the most important person in your world. And if you don't recognize that you're the most important person in the world, then you can't shift from where you are, because you'll end up dropping the F, and that other stuff will always be there. So listen to what Eric says. He's willing to invest the money, the time, and the effort to become something that he's not now. He wants to be a leader. Okay, so now you sign up for John Maxwell, and what happens? Overnight, it all works, right?
I wish. But it did not take as long as I thought it would, because I was so far away from understanding what leadership was that as soon as I started learning the principles and applying them, he's got a wonderful book called 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Great read. But my favorite book by him is an even older book called Leadership Gold. And that's probably designed more towards people like me, the managers, where I was at that phase in my life. And I don't know how many, I've read dozens of books by John Maxwell, all fun reads. Anyway, so I began to apply what I was learning. And the thing with the John Maxwell team was that they had two lanes. You can either go there and become a good leader, or you're now certified and licensed to teach and train on John Maxwell's principles. So I would hop on those calls because I was kind of interested to learn about the business side of it. And something in me said, you know what, you should start a mastermind group, go offer it for free. And I had a nice job at the time. So, money wasn't an issue. I cold called 10 business owners in Baltimore. That's where we were living before. We got together every Wednesday. All I said was, look, I'm trying this thing out. It's going to improve your leadership ability in your company. For 10 weeks, Wednesday evenings from 7 to 9 p.m., if you were to meet with me and 9 other business owners, I will teach you these principles that I just got certified in. They said yes. And
by the way, you were offering this at no cost to them, or
no
a minimal
cost, completely free.
No cost.
Yeah.
And so did anybody say no?
There were people that said no because it wasn't the right time, or, they don't know who John Maxwell was, or, some people will say no. And that was the first time I ever did anything like it, right? So I'm a novice myself. But 10 said yes. And we're sitting there every week. And by week 4, everybody kind of clicked. And conversations started to get deep. And they started sharing what they're going through with their leadership challenges and in their companies. And after the 10 weeks were up, 4 of them came up to me and said, Eric, can you come into my company and do this? And that's how my company started. So right there, we started the company.
And by the way, let's be blunt for people. When these 4 people, so let's go through these called the funnel process. He reached out to any number of people. 10 people said yes. And again, he's doing this. He's not doing this saying, gee, I hope I can get people to sign up. He's doing it because he wants to utilize the principles that he learned from John and be able to express them well enough so that he knows that he is a good conduit. We call you a cog. You know what a cog is? A cog is a piece of something in a machine, right? Most people think a cog is inconsequential. No, because a cog stands for COG, channel of goodness, child of God. When you recognize that you are the important cog in the machine and you're the channel of goodness, you're giving to other people. Well, 40%, 4 out of 10 say, Eric, I need this for my company. And by definition, ... what do you charge? I'm paying it because I know that it's valuable. In other words, they understood value. They were willing to trade money. They approached you, not that you said, hey, everybody, if I got a deal for you, step right in. That's called the law of attraction. When you give and give of the goodness, by definition, it comes back to you in overwhelming amounts. So now these 4 people come and you go into these businesses, and whatever the amount that you were charging is beside the point, even though it did make a difference for these businesses, right?
100%. Yeah.
And that's why you started this business now. How many years you've been doing your business?
Since 2015.
So now you've been doing this business for 9 years successfully.
Yeah.
And people are knocking on your doors all the time and saying, hello, Eric. And now I assume, and I'm asking, is this a one-man business or do you have people working for you?
I have my wife who's my business partner, so she does some trainings too, and then we have a team in the Philippines that do our social media and some of our graphics and things like that.
Very good. And business, thank God, is good because why? Because the principles are true.
The business shifted from that. At one point, Barry, I decided that, John Maxwell's principles are true, but they're not my principles. And there was just like a little shift where it wasn't fun for me to teach leadership anymore. So I shifted to sales, uh, helping people grow that way. I became certified as a life coach, executive leadership coach. So I have a few different ways we help people. But yeah, that's what that's what kicked it all off. And so when I was working with Julie, with the journaling, just to circle back to that part of my life, one of the things she had me doing was journaling, and I would sit and journal, kind of just reflectively. And then I learned about our intellectual faculties, right? So like if I was to ask somebody, what are your five senses? Even a little kid would tell you, see, hear, smell, taste, touch. But not many really understand the power that we have of imagination, like Napoleon Hill says, right? The power of visualization, the power of memory, the power of intuition. And once you start figuring out those superpowers, I call them, that we have as people, man, the whole new world opens up, Barry.
I want to put you on pause for a moment. If you're listening to this, it's wonderful. You can hear a little bit of raise in his voice. If you're watching this, the past 4 seconds were worth everything. As he used the words imagination and visualization, his face brightened, his whole being beamed, because that's what these superpowers are. And this is so wonderful that Zig Ziglar would say, the greatest nation in the world is imagination. That's what Einstein said. Imagination, creativity. It's more important than the knowledge. Knowledge is great. Without creativity and imagination, you don't have a Steve Jobs. You don't have an Eric. You don't have people growing in their, and everybody has this superpower. Is that not correct?
100%. Not everybody knows how to use it. So for example, like memory, when I say memory, people think that, well, memory is remembering something. It's just remembering something that happened in the past. But that's not what memory is. Memory is just a storage. It's like your computer has a storage, a filing system. What you think of and confuse memory for is recall. So when people say, I'm not good with names, I can't remember names, what they're really saying is, I don't have a really good recall system for names. Right? But like a certain smell, and you'll remember what you were doing when you were 2 years old at the beach, right? And bam, it just recalls. So we all have a perfect memory. We just may not have a great recall. And so why is it important to talk about memory? Is because we can store visual images in our memory of the past, but we can also do it of the future that we want to create. And the second we're able to do that, and the way I do it is through journaling, through imagination, through visualization. And the more I do it and the more I visualize the same thing repetitively, it becomes my memory. It changes my being. I show up into the world differently. So, yeah, go ahead.
I want to share with everybody. There's one of my heroes, really, one of my heroes when I was growing up. Very famous, interesting person. People should Google him. Have you ever heard of somebody named Reverend Ike?
I have not.
Okay, well, they're going to love this one. Wonderful, Eric. Look up Reverend Ike, I-K-E. Reverend Ike was the embodiment of what we call VVE. Verbalize, visualize, emotionalize. That's what you're talking about. Verbalize, visualize, and I want to make mention of something you said. And people oftentimes do this. If you ask them about names and memories, and people will, I don't even want to use the words when they say they don't have a good memory. When you say something, it becomes true. Am I right?
Absolutely.
So if you put that on yourself, and I learned that, thank God, many, many years ago. I have a great memory. I keep telling myself that. Guess what? I have a great memory.
You have a perfect memory. Of course,
Right.
you have
You're
a perfect
even
memory.
better. So when you verbalize, visualize, emotionalize, and this is what world-class athletes do on a regular basis. This is what world-class salespeople do on a regular basis. This is what every human being can do. That's why I'm having Eric here, because he's sharing this with you. So yes, tell us more, please.
Yeah, I'll take that one step further, Barry. The reason why it's important to understand that you have this memory is because you can now program what you put into your memory intentionally. And that begins to pull you in the direction that you want to go. That's why memory is so important. That's why it's so important to visualize your day ahead of time, to know how you're going to feel, to decide how you're going to react to certain situations ahead of time. Somebody flips you off in traffic, how will you decide? You have a choice. Like right now, even if you're not sitting in traffic, you can just make a decision that says, okay, I'm the person that when I get flipped off in traffic, I'm going to bless them because they're probably going through something that's rough for them. I'm going to send a blessing their way. I'm going to hope and pray that they make it to where they're going to safely and that the rest of their day is way better. Like you can just decide that. And then guess what? When you get flipped off in traffic or something happens in traffic or you get cut off, you now have a rule for what you're going to do. And it's in your memory.
And by doing that, by being a benefit in the world, not only are you helping that other person who you gave a blessing to, but guess who gets the greatest benefit of all?
You do.
You do.
Yeah.
Because you're now what I call you're the channel of goodness. And when you're a channel of goodness, everything beneficial, positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant happens for you, not to you. I mean, you and I both know this, right? Why did this happen to me? No, why is it happening for me? When you can shift your language, and that's what you're all about, Eric, right? Shifting that language and visualizing in the future how you respond. Remember those 6 words we told everybody, the 6 most important words you could ever internalize, utilize, leverage. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Okay, so let's go back into our superpowers. So talking about visualization, talking about memory. What are the other superpowers?
Yeah, so you have intuition. So you got visualization, memory, imagination, intuition, and there are a few others that are just not coming to me, but they will. So the ones that I like utilizing most are visualization and imagination and memory. Oh, faith is definitely one. Faith, you have to have faith, right?
Oh, I was
That's one of
waiting for
yours,
you.
Barry.
I was
Yes.
waiting for you to say that. Thank you.
Yeah.
By the way, you're going to like this. Faith is a wonderful acronym. You ready?
Yes.
Faith stands for finding answers in the highest.
I love it.
Finding answers in the highest, because you're right. Faith is that string that weaves through all of these, the visualization, the imagination, the intuition, and the memory.
Yeah.
When you have that all together, then you live the life of Eric.
Well, people, and I'm definitely not perfect at this, Barry. And sometimes I have to remind myself, and that's where the journaling comes in and self-reflection comes in. But some people think they either have faith or they don't have faith. You always have faith. You either have faith in something that you want or you're having faith in something that you don't want. But you're always having faith, So it's like you're using your superpower, imagination. Oh, I don't have a good imagination. Yet the first thing, a lot of people will say that I don't have a good imagination. Yet the first thing that will happen is they're going to imagine all the bad things that will happen if they're trying to start a business or take a risk, right? And they don't think they're using their imagination. You have faith in something you don't want, and 2, you're imagining something that's not real. I was with a client just last week, and she's going through a phase where she completely wants to quit drinking. She doesn't have a huge alcohol problem, but when she drinks once a week, she can go through like a bottle or 2 of wine.
What?
And yeah. And she's stressed, and she's a small business owner. And we're here in Southwest Florida where we just got hit with 2 big hurricanes back to back. So we get together. This is after the second hurricane. I said, how'd you, how's the drinking going, or how's the not drinking going? She said, I I failed this last week. I had drinks. I said, what happened? She said, I got so worried that the hurricane was going to completely take down my business. I started thinking about, like, my insurance lapsed and I didn't even know. So I didn't have insurance. I found out it lapsed right before the hurricane. And I was thinking about losing all my supplies that I have in there, all my product. And I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. So I was drinking and I was upset. And I said, did any of that happen? She said, no. Did your business get hurt at all? No. I was like, so what you're telling me is that you sat there and imagined some terrible things that will happen, and then you actually physically harmed yourself even more by doing something you don't want to do, and that's drinking, because of what you imagined. Is that what we're talking about here? And she had this look on her face. She's like, imagined? I did not think I imagined that.
And by the way, the genius of what we're discussing here right now, Eric's a great guy. Barry's a fabulous guy. It's not about us. It's you. And we all are subject to this until and unless you take hold of yourself and recognize my imagination is things that are positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant. Speaking of that, we're going to go to a commercial break. Again, we love the people that are sponsoring our show. We urge you to consider using their products and services. We'll be right back with more Eric and great imagination and faith on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Opportunity. What an opportunity. I'm going to use 2 4-letter words right now. Free gift. Free gift. Yes, you can have a copy of my best-selling book, The Joy of Living, How to Slay Stress and Be Happy, the ebook version, for absolutely free. All you have to do is send an email to me, Barry, Barry, at barryshore.com, and in the heading, the subject line, just write free gift. It's as easy as that. This is a life-changing, life-enhancing opportunity. Barry at barryshore.com. You'll be glad you did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Free gift. Do it now. Take the action. Make it happen right now. Best wishes. Bye. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking, so I was looking for and finding the good. We found good in abundance. His name is Eric, and he's the goal guide. Again, everything you want to know about Eric in the show notes, you can look it up. Just wonderful stuff because it's real. He's authentic. I want to talk about what happened to you at the age of 37, because you look very young now. You look like you're around 39. No, okay. But the point is that you're a former Marine, your family fled communism, you went through stuff, you're getting on the right track, and now 37 happens, and you're in great shape, except that you're not.
Yeah.
What happened?
I woke up one morning and I was pretty fit. I was running in the gym, I was lifting weights, I eat somewhat healthy. But I woke up one morning with the worst back pain ever. Like, I couldn't move, and I'm not the guy that goes to the ER, but I told my wife, said, something's wrong. I can't move. I want to go get that checked out. So I'm sitting in the ER, Barry, and finally got my x-rays. They came out. They said, look, we don't see anything wrong with your back, but your heart is enlarged. So we need to send you in for some testing. That led to about 4 or 5 months worth of different tests, where I ended up at NIH, thanks to my mother-in-law, who's a physician, and got me in there because nobody could figure out what's wrong with me. And they uncovered 3 different birth defects. So, I was born in 1980, and in the former USSR, they didn't check infants for heart problems. But I had, my valves my wires were all different, going to the wrong side of my lungs. I wasn't getting enough oxygenated blood to one side. What saved me is I had a hole between my left and right side. So there was some blood getting in through that hole. And there was another defect. I don't understand what it was, but it got uncovered. Here's the crazy thing. And this was my superpower of intuition coming into effect and telling me to go. As soon as they figured out that the heart something was wrong, the back pain completely went away. Like there was never, ever any other back pain. And I'm so grateful for that moment, because I would have been that statistic that just dropped dead and nobody would have known. Because my heart was, when the doctor told me, and this was a George Washington Hospital doctor, who's one of the top guys in Washington, D.C., he said, Eric, it was right before summer. It was in May. He said, Eric, I'm going on vacation. When I come back, we're going to have open heart surgery. And I said, well, doc, look, it's summer. I got plans with kids. Can we just, I've been with this for 37 years. Can we just wait till like September and then we'll do the surgery? He said, Eric, if we don't do the surgery now, you're not going to make it till September. And that's where it kind of hit home how serious the situation was. So got my surgery done. Super grateful. I told him I would be out of there within 3 days. I was out of there within 3 days. And, now life is back to normal.
And again, just to put it in perspective, at the age of 37, you've been a Marine for 8 years. You've been in sales, a lot of pressure, all kinds of things. And nobody ever knew that you had this issue. Let's just conclude now with where you are in terms of sales. I love sales. To me, it's the highest calling in the world. Everybody is in the world of sales, whether you think of yourself as a salesperson or not, because what you're doing is the first person you want to sell, of course, is yourself. The second person you want to sell is to somebody you want to live with, God willing, the rest of your life. And the other is to extend yourself, and with a goal that you set, not just intellectually, but you write down and you articulate it on a regular basis. You want to sell your best self on becoming your best self. So what is it about sales that excites and energizes you?
Well, if you look at sales, 'cause sales could be looked at as manipulative. If you ask people, a lot of people that will say, oh, I could never do sales, right? I could never be in sales. Why did they do that? It's because they probably had a bad experience with a sales professional that try to manipulate them, to try to sell, to try to get more money out of them, sell them something they didn't need. And so sales has that negative connotation a lot of the times. For me, I look at sales as helping people. You can't really help somebody until you sell them something. It could be an idea. It doesn't have to be monetary. But if somebody wants to get help from moving from one place to another, they're going to need to buy into something other than what they're doing. And that requires sales. And so sales at the root kind of definition of it is a transfer of emotion. And the emotion we want to transfer is certainty. We want people to be certain that you're the right person for them, your product or service is the right product or service for them, that your company will stand by what it says, and that the offer that you have in front of them is the right offer. And if they're certain in all those 4 things, they will buy from you. And so, for me, that's what selling is. Selling is listening. It's not talking. It's listening to people's problems and challenges so that you can truly understand why they're there. How did they get there? Why don't they like it there? What's missing for them? And why do they think it's missing, right? Like, that's why I have fun with it. For me, selling is coaching. When I got certified as a coach, I became a way better salesperson, because in coaching, it's asking very deep, open-ended questions, very curiosity-based, and you take out all presuppositions and you view each person that's in front of you as perfect, whole, and complete. And so when I show up to the table like that, I'm viewing you as perfect, whole, complete. I love you. When I show up that way, I'm curious about you. I want to learn about you, and I have a heart where I want to help you. Selling becomes super fun, because if they buy from you, that means that they're really going to get the help that they want.
As I said, when I began this, to me, sales is one of the highest callings in the world, because it is exactly that. It's service. When you recognize that service is the essence of life, then there's no barrier to your success. Everything happens. And nothing happens until someone sells something. See, sales in my world, and I've been doing this, thank God, for decades, quite successfully, is that there's two aspects. It's transactional and transformational. The transaction is just, okay, there's something that happens, whether it's money or even not money, but it's transformational because somebody else, you're sharing with somebody else. Like we're doing right now, we're selling to you. Yes, you, the one watching, the one listening. We're selling to you. We're selling you to you. So you become the best you. I came up with an acronym for your name, Eric. Would you like to hear it?
I would love to hear it.
Okay, Eric, ERIC. Enthusiasm reignites inspirational creativity.
I love it. Enthusiasm reignites inspirational creativity. I was going to ask you, Barry, like, how do these ideas of acronyms just come to you?
The simple answer is yes. This is my poetry.
That's your poetry.
Yeah. In other words, my journaling is, and when I'm reading, I'm looking for patterns and words and things that express positive, purposeful, powerful things like joy. Joy. People love the word, right? Joy stands for journey of you. When you live in joy, it's your journey.
Mm.
Is there anything more wonderful? No.
No.
When you think that way, when you speak that way, and you think that way, and you act that way, guess what happens? You're living in love. And love stands for living on vibrant energy, living on the vibrational plane, which is what you do, right? This is who Eric is. That's why I'm so happy that you're here today. Thank you so much. I'm actually loath to say the following words. Our time together is coming to a close. I have 3 quick questions for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Number 1, will you come back again?
Absolutely. Will you have me back?
Oh, well, thank you. Yes.
Yes.
Number two, you only have 80 seconds to answer this, wonderful Eric. What is your most fervent desire?
What's the word fervent? I don't think I've ever heard that word.
Fervent, Fervent, passionate, on fire. Nothing will stop it. What is your most fervent desire?
Oh, yeah. To be that cog to help people live free financially, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Every single thing I do is through the lens of how can I help this person free themselves from the shackles that are holding themselves back.
What a way to get out of bed this morning, huh? Yes, thank you. Okay, and number 3, may I give you a hug in front of 428,917 people around the world?
100%.
Let me tell you what HUG stands for. Heartfelt, unlimited giving. Are you ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And you're listening to, of course, The Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, and our fabulous guest, Eric Konovalov. And remember, on this show, you tuned in for one reason only, because you care the most in the entire world about you, Y-O-U. And that's great, because you're the best you to make the world a better place, to build more bridges of harmony, create more joy, happiness, peace, and love in the world. And the result is you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier when you use the 3 fundamentals of life. Number 1, life. Your life has purpose, like Eric's been talking about. Number 2, you go mad. You make a difference in the world, like Eric's been talking about. Number 3 is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms like WWW. What a wonderful world. Always say that, always think that, and act that way. Smile, seeing miracles in life every day. Or as my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. Create the kind of world you want to live in, causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. Use 4-letter words: love, life, hope, free, play, pray, swim, and tell people to F you. Capital N, capital N. And I'll jump right away. And then say, what did you get that? He said, listen to Barry Shore. And he had on this amazing guy named Eric, who was talking about living your life in your great superpowers. And remember, you want to cause a bit of a shift in your perspective. Keep that F in place or the other stuff happens. And then you can internalize, utilize, and leverage the 6 most important words you'll ever learn. Choice, not chance, determines destiny. How you choose to respond in any given situation. Remember, somebody flips you off on the road, love you. How you choose to respond determines your pathway and your trajectory. And now a blessing from Eric and Barry. We want you to please go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Eric, don't go away.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.